Hey guys, today we're coming back to the 600-gallon African cichlid aquarium. This is one of my favorite tanks. I feature it a lot on the channel, and I'm sure you can see why. This thing is absolutely beautiful, and we have some really awesome fish in here. It's funny because my wife was recently looking at this tank, and she commented, "Hey Evan, I think you have a lot more bluefish in here now than you used to. You used to have a lot more yellowfish." And she's right, because I used to have a lot of dragon bloods in here and lemon jakes, some more yellowfish. But as time goes on, I have been, cycling fish in and out of this aquarium just to keep something new every now and then. So right now I am leaning heavily on the bluefish. These are some beautiful Certicara morii, blue dolphins. And I've had these before, but these are actually the third generation of blue dolphins I've raised. So I kind of, grow them up, rehome the adults every now and then, raise the babies just for fun. I have this Buccochromis rhodesii. I actually have about 100 offspring of this fish that I'm going to bring in here once they get big enough. But one of the bluefish that I'm in love with that is really dominating the tank right now are these Malawi Hawks, the Aristochromis christii. And this is a stunning fish. This guy right here is one of the first of my specimens of the Malawi Hawks to color up. And he's actually still on the small side, believe it or not. The thing about these fish is they get big. I love big cichlids, so that shouldn't surprise you. Most of the fish in here would be considered big by, I would say, typical standards. But these Malawi Hawks definitely get up there. The males max out around 12 inches. These specimens, this guy right here is probably 9 inches. So he's got, a little more growing to do still. So maybe not small per se, but definitely not full grown. These are really interesting predator haps. Now I typically hate might be a strong term. I typically don't like when people call fish predator haps. I know a lot of people like that term because it might sound cool, and it is descriptive of most species in nature, right? They do have to predate on other fish. But I still don't like that term. But I'll tell you, with these fish, it is very accurate. I have put smaller fish in this tank. Actually, when I moved these albino blue dolphins, this is the same fish as these guys right here, just albino. When I moved these fish into the tank, they were a little smaller than what they are now. And these Malawi Hawks just absolutely, it was horrendous to watch. And I tried my best to catch them all back out. I couldn't get them all. Some of them did make it, right? And you're seeing them right now. But it was a very devastating mistake I made because, and I made that mistake because I have a lot of experience keeping really big haplochromines from Lake Malawi and other really big cichlids. And even though they are commonly known to be aggressive, there are ways you can manage that aggression. And I typically I leverage these tools, these various methods to manage aggression. So I've had a lot of success mixing a wider range of sizes than you might expect. So I think I let my hubris get the better of me. And unfortunately, I learned my lesson that these Malawi Hawks, you read about it online, and I can now vouch from personal experience. They are hunters. It is very interesting behavior to see them hunt. I don't like seeing it, to an extent, because I don't necessarily like watching other things get hunted. But it was a unique opportunity, although, an incredible loss and not something I enjoyed. It was a unique opportunity to see that natural behavior in action. It is very interesting. But the reason I'm sharing these fish with you today, I've had them for a while, and the reason I'm sharing them now, a couple of reasons. One, they're really starting to color up now. This guy is beautiful. They've actually started breeding too. That's the other reason. For the first time, these females, let's see if we can get oh, there you go. See, that female is holding. The other fish are getting in the way. That female back there is holding. And so is another female around here. Let me see if I can find her. Yes, here's the other female that is holding. So I actually have two of these females in this tank. I'm not going to be able to focus, but I think there, you can see it. So two females holding. I do have 4 males. So I have 4 males and 3 females. Now that I've confirmed these other 2 are indeed females. You know, not an ideal ratio by any means, but it seems to be working out in here. I definitely would prefer to have more females for sure. I just get stopped in my tracks sometimes when I look at this thing. And what was I saying? All right, so these Malawi Hawks, really cool fish. If you ever wanted to keep one, a big aquarium is the key, right? We've talked about how big these fish get. These specimens are about 9 inches, give or take. So you need a big tank. You don't necessarily need, by any means, a 600-gallon aquarium. But I would definitely say, I would recommend a 180 for sure. That would be, you know, your 6-foot tank that is, I think 180s are 2 feet front to back. So that extra 6 inches in the front to back footprint really help. A longer tank would be great as well. So I have a 7-foot 225. I think that would be a great size aquarium for these fish. If you wanted to breed them, like just temporarily, you could keep these in a 125, like a breeding group in a 125. And I do know people, I've seen people keep them permanently in a 125. I wouldn't recommend that, which, you know, it's a shame because a 125 is typically the biggest, you know, commercially made tank that a lot of people have access to. You know, there are the 180s, but the cost just scales up dramatically. So I hate to preclude other fish keepers from this, but I just can't in good conscience recommend a 125 as a permanent home. But if you have, you know, a male and a few females, they can be in there for a while for breeding projects. Something about this fish that was difficult for me is that it's a patient man's fish. Now, the aquarium hobby in general is for, you know, it rewards patience. But these fish, they push that to the limit because not only are they fairly slow growing, they're very slow to color up. So even when they get big, they still look just a drab gray. So these females, where are they? These females right here, you know, they're about 6 to 7 inches. That's about the size the males were before they started showing any color at all. And only recently have they been showing optimal color when they've started breeding. So you definitely have to wait a long time. I would say it took, I'd say these fish are about 3 years old now, and they've only recently started breeding. I would say the first male started showing color about 6 months ago, so approximately 2.5 years. That's a long time to wait for color. You know, a lot of your peacocks from Lake Malawi, you know, they color up within the first year. And most of your other haplochromines, you know, 1.5 to 2 years, you know. So this is definitely on the longer end of that spectrum. So yeah, I just wanted to share this with you guys. Definitely a fish, I highly recommend it if you can keep a big enough tank. Oh, real quick, care requirements, you know, outside of the aquarium size, you know, keep it like most other African cichlids. Temperature range will be in that, anywhere in that 76 to 80 range is good. I keep my tanks right around 77, 78. You know, feed them a good varied diet of cichlid-focused foods. You know, don't feed them live foods or many frozen foods. A more plant-based protein food is optimal for these fish, but there's tons of foods on the market specifically formulated for them. I feed a mix of extreme and northfin and some hikari. Any good pellet will do them just fine. You know, you filter them pretty well. You know, with African cichlids, there is that method of overstocking the aquarium to minimize aggression. You know, there's truth to that. I do it myself to an extent. So with that, you know, heavy bioload, you got to have, you know, strong filtration. Outside of that, it's a pretty simple fish to keep. They love hard water, which is great for me because that's what I have here naturally. If you have soft water, I mean, they can adapt, right? But if you have water anywhere below, in terms of pH, closer to 7, closer to neutral or softer than that, maybe throw some crushed coral into the substrate to add some buffering capacity. But anything, above 7, they are perfectly fine at. But hey guys, that's all I have for you. Hope you enjoyed this little focus on the Malawi Hawk. I hope to see you guys next time.